I will be learning how to fly a kite that I make. It's something that I feel is an important part of being a kid. It's one of those experiences that I feel every kid should enjoy or experience. Unfortunately, it was something that I never got to experience as a kid, and thus I'm hoping I can enjoy it as an adult while doing this project. I constructed the kite when I went up to Raleigh for fall break, and I had some help from my stepdad, so he gave me some advice, gave me some demonstrations of what I need to do to make this kite. The first step that we did in order to construct the kite was we had to make sure that the two dowels were the appropriate sizes. Something I saw online was that one needed to be 20 inches and the other needed to be 24, and that's why I went with the purpose being that just one needs to be shorter than the other. And while we were doing that, we carved some, my stepdad and I carved some notches into the ends. That will be important in a little bit. And then once we carved them, once we got them cut and we got the notches in, we then put them in a T shape with the 20-inch dowel sitting on top of the 24-inch dowel. We tied them together. We used some of the twine. I used some of the twine to tie them together to make that T shape. Now, this is where the notches come in handy. The reason why I had to make notches in the dowels is because I needed those notches to make the frame. So I had to make them pretty much horizontal, because if I made them go anyway else, it wouldn't have worked. So I took some twine, had to make sure it was long enough, and went from notch to notch, just resting it inside the notch, or the twine inside the notch, I mean. And then once it was done, I just tied it off, and that was done. Once I got the frame done, it was time to use fabric. I didn't have to use fabric. Other choices were plastic bags, newspaper. I read that newspaper and plastic bags were better, but I already got the fabric, and it's a learning experience, so I just wanted to see what would happen as the end result with the fabric. And so what I did was I laid the frame on top of the fabric, and then I took a Sharpie and traced around the frame. And what I did was I left about 2 extra inches while I was tracing, because when I cut it, I would then fold the fabric over the frame and glue it down to make that part of the kite. All right, so the last thing I had to do was I had to make the fly string, so the fly line. So what I did was I took some twine, and what I did is the twine that I got, I just tied it to what we see exposed here. So the dowel and the twine, I just tied twine to the twine that's already there. And I even left some at the bottom a little visible so I can make this tail, and tied some ribbon to it. Now the tail is optional, but just wanted to go with it, make it look pretty. And then the 4 pieces of twine that I had, made them meet in the middle, tied them together. And then once I got that done, I took the rest of the twine and just tied that piece right to the middle of the already tied twine. So, and then that was all I did in terms of making my kite. I was still in Raleigh for fall break when I finished the kite. Still had about another day or two left, and so I decided to fly it that Sunday, so I was gonna fly it that day and then come back to Wilmington. But then it started to rain, which kind of screwed up my plan to film it Sunday before I came back. But I decided to wait another day, so I actually pushed my return to Wilmington until Monday, because I really, really, really wanted to try flying my kite before I left to come back. So what ended up happening was it didn't work. There was no wind. It didn't catch on anything. It would not even pick up in the slightest. Nothing was picking it up, not even for like a millisecond. It just nothing. So it failed in Raleigh, and then I decided, you know what? Okay, this is a learning experience. Now I know. Like Raleigh didn't really work. So once I get back and I have time, I'm gonna try and fly it in Wilmington. So I got back to Wilmington, and then I decided to go to Wrightsville Beach and attempted to fly it there. Luckily, I get there and it's a little bit windy. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'll have more luck. So Wrightsville Beach didn't work. I mean, I had a tiny bit more of a success at Wrightsville Beach than I did in Raleigh. It picked up once for a split second, but that was it. I mean, I still see that as a success. I see that as a win, but I was still a little down because it didn't fly, and that was my takeaway. I mean, I'm happy I had that success, but I was still just down that it didn't win. So after a day or two, I kind of regrouped and tried to figure stuff out, and then I decided to go back to Wrightsville Beach and try again. And I went back, and the wind was a little stronger. So again, I was a little more excited, like, yay, let's see what we can do. So I get there, and pretty much the same result. Even though there was wind, even though I was just, I was excited that there was wind, it didn't fly. It picked up, like the wind got a hold of it a couple times, maybe one or two more times than it did before, but it still didn't fly. But again, I still saw that as a success. Like, okay, got caught by the wind a little bit, and it is possible that it could fly. And so I'm hoping that one day, when I have some free time and I get a chance, I'm hoping to one day it will fly. I mean, the fact that it got caught in the wind and it would be in the air for a split second gives me hope that it will fly, and I wish I was able to, if it does fly, I would wish I was able to show it in this project. And for you guys who are, in Dr. Rooney's class, I hope that you guys would have seen that, or would see it if I was flying. So I do have hope. That's something I learned, is that there is hope for this kite to fly. I just wasn't able to get there over the course of this project. And I'm just happy. I still see it as a success that I have a kite that I'm hoping is able to fly. And so that's what I got for you guys today. So yeah.